Yeah, cool. You happy with that, Gump?
Yeah, 100%.
Beauty. Brisbane 12, North Queensland 38.
The Cowboys keep on keeping on. 2 tries to the Broncos, 6 to the Cowboys. 2 out of 2 conversions, played 6 out of 6 for Val Holmes. 1 out of 1 penalty goals for the Cowboys also. 71% completion for the 91% completion for the Cowboys. 25 out of 33 sets, played 34 out of 37. 170 plus post-contact meters for the Cowboys. 2 line breaks to 4. 47 tackle busts for the Broncos, 38 for the Cowboys. 7 offloads for both teams. 1 forced dropout to 3, 0 40-20s. 379 tackles made by the Broncos, 268 made by the Cowboys. One ruck infringement against the Broncos, 2 inside the 10 against the Cowboys. 6 penalties conceded to 5. 12 errors by the Broncos, 3 by the Cowboys. Carrigan with 46 tackles, Robson with 33, Haas with 163 meters, and Valentine Holmes with 200. Reynolds missed 5 tackles, made 19. Tomalolo missed 6 and made 17, and Hiku missed 6 and made 14. Supercoach points, Thomas Dearden with 109 points, Holmes with 106, Nanai with 100, and Herbie Farnworth with 77.
What do we do in this game? Ollie, you can open the batting here.
Well, I'll tell you what, the missus is a Broncos supporter. That I think I've brought that up before, and she doesn't like watching the games usually, but I was like, come on, let's watch this one. They're undefeated. They're up against a bunch of geeks. They'll flog them, right? Like I said to her, I was like, come on, no, it'll be worth it. It'll be worth it.
It wasn't.
It was not worth it. The Cowboys looked like a good football side in this one, but as I was saying to Daggy before we started recording, I'm at least sticking with them as wooden spooners for now, because realistically,
you can't stick with them. But
yes, I can. How many rounds has it been?
They've won 2 games. How the Tigers can win 2 games?
And guess what? They have literally played good football for 40 minutes longer than the Tigers, because they weren't good against the Raiders. They put in 80 minutes of good football here. The Tigers put in 40 minutes of good football against Melbourne. So by that, I'm at least sticking with it for now, because I don't like changing too early either. Is that a stretching for a reason to not change my tip so far? Of course it is, but let's just see how it pans out.
You're the oracle, not me.
They had a very good 80 minutes of football here, though. I thought Tom Dearden close to his best performance ever against the side that he never won a game with. I don't think he actually ever won with the Broncos. I'd say he was probably the best player on the field for me, but it certainly helped that there were some stinkers in the Broncos side. It looked like prime 2020 here. I was shocked with how poor the performance was based off of the first 2 weeks of the season.
There's 2 blokes here you'd even feed, and one's Payne Haas and the other one. And why they took him off for 23 minutes is baffling.
I've got the same thing written down here. Why was Payne Haas off the field? But
and Pat Carrigan tries very hard, and he's used to trying very hard. And the rest of them, to use the analogy we use all the time, wouldn't make a first grade team. Well, they'd make one. But like even Adam Reynolds. Look, he looked like a retard playing. I'm allowed to say that word. I can't.
All he's got is a kicking game. It's he does a bit, but Adam Reynolds needs his forward pack to be on the front foot, and they were not on the front foot for the majority of this game. The first half was pretty competitive, but very slow football from both teams. I thought in the first half, there wasn't a lot of different angles presented from either side. Realistically, in the first half, it was just straight up the middle, and it looked slow. To me, it looked really slow. But the more the first half went on, the more predictable Brisbane were. Like the Cowboys didn't have to do anything to defend them. They knew exactly what they were doing. There was no change of angles. It was one bloke running next to the next bloke, and it was straight up the middle. And you just put one bloke next to the other and defend them as they're coming straight at you. Whereas the Cowboys seemed to gain confidence because they knew that they weren't going to get broken open by the Broncos attack, and then they started to put on a bit of football. Val Holmes played one of his best games since he's come back from being overseas. It was I really do not understand how the Broncos attack was that bad, considering you got blokes like Tony Staggs and Cobbo who the guys
Staggs had zero interest for
absolutely. No, that's what I'm about to get to. But these guys are athletes that can be put, if they're put in the right positions, can tear teams apart. But they were all running side by side, but they weren't even running. They were jogging next to each other and just getting belted every time they tried to get through the line. The Cowboys' energy and effort for the entire game was quite good, which I didn't expect out of the Cowboys for the entire year. I think we all tipped them to win the wooden spoon, and they've been quite good actually. And then the pace just got quicker and quicker from the Cowboys, and the Broncos just absolutely fell in a hole. They had absolutely nothing by the end of this game, and they looked like the team from a year and a half ago where they didn't want to be there. So
one bloke tried, and that was Herbie.
Well,
one bloke.
Carrigan and Haas.
And sorry.
Yeah.
On top of that.
I mentioned two others, but yeah. Gumpy?
Look, I said before the season started that Brisbane were mine and Buckley's to make the 8, and I'm happy to stick with it. Their spine is still barely existent for them. Barely has a pulse. Adam Reynolds has got a kicking game. Albert Kelly has had his one good game for the year against the Bulldogs last week, unfortunately for me. Jake Turpin is not an NRL 9, and Tessie New's got a bit to do as a fullback. I think he's got ability. But Michael Ennis, I'm going to pull him through the TV next time. He must have Tony Staggs 50 times, and he didn't do anything. I'm waiting for Staggs to do, shut up and just call
keep waiting
you through the TV. He just kept talking about Katoni Staggs.
He actually did. He did the same thing last week in the Bulldogs game.
Yep, I picked him in draft too. I rated Katoni Staggs, and at the moment, he's very close to getting a line through him. For me, even the week before against the Bulldogs, dropping that ball over the line. Then this week was non-existent. Herbie actually looks like Reg Gasnier as a centre.
Absolutely.
It was frightening, but Brisbane, even their wingers, they don't bring the ball back with any gusto out of their own end. And I know that Supercoach points aren't an indicator of how good a bloke's played, but their wingers, unless they score a try, they get 15 Supercoach points, which means you're not running the ball.
The only bloke that was doing that was Asako, and he's on his way to the Titans.
So in terms of that, they've got no one running out from their own end.
Except for Haas and Carrigan. Yeah.
Haas and Carrigan are the only two. Even that Palacia is not a bad prop, but after 20 minutes, Kevin Walters puts him on the edge and he gets in the way. He's too slow. He's a middle that he puts him to an edge. Bring a fresh edge player on if you want a fresh edge player, but don't put your prop to the edge.
Well, the Ricky injury hurt him, and I think he was scrambling for ideas. But
I agree, but that's sort of not the answer. So look,
yeah, absolutely.
But the Cowboys played the best they could possibly play. They made about 3 errors for the match. I thought that Jeremiah Nanai was outstanding. I know that two of them were off kicks, but for a 19-year-old on an edge, had really good involvement, runs hard, tackles hard. That, you know what, they won't come last with him and Lukey and that Gilbert and all that. They've got some blokes on the edge that have got some footy in them. If Dearden and Townsend can get them the ball, they can create a few things on the edge. I don't think they can make the 8, but I had them at the bottom. But I think they're as good a side as Brisbane are.
Oh, yeah. To your Canberra point, if those edges play as good as they can, they've got pace. They've got Hammer. They've got Val. They've got blokes that will put the sword to them if they need to. Whereas
Hiku goes all right, even at his age.
Go right. Yeah.
Well, the Broncos just looked devoid of ideas. They didn't look like they had any idea of how they were going to score points against this Cowboys team, and there was nothing. I'll get on to it in the next game.
Especially when Adam Reynolds is apparently the smartest bloke in the NRL. Well, he's got to have more, but maybe he knows his limit for it. Maybe he's just very smart.
It's just
maybe he's a very smart average player.
But it's his back rowers that need to provide him options, and his centers that need to be running at angles and giving him, hitting holes. And if you're all just running next to each other, it's pretty simple to defend.
Yeah.
It's sort of sad to say as well, but obviously most of us here tip the Cowboys to finish wooden spooners. If they win 2 more games, then they're safe. And I guess that's a reflection of the comp over the past couple of years. I
reckon they're safe now. I reckon they're safe now.
Yeah, I think so.
There's 2 teams I bagged.
If they don't win another game,
I bagged, which were Newcastle and Cowboys, bagged them heavily, and they will both finish.
But I'm
higher than 12th. They'll finish higher than 12th.
But look at both of those teams.
They
both provide options. They've got back rowers running angles. They've got
Yeah.
people doing different stuff. They're not just running straight up the middle.
Yeah.
And they're defending. The Cowboys in 3 games have only conceded 4 tries.
Yeah.
So if you've conceded
stat.
4 tries in 3 games, you're going to win more than you lose. So it's very simple that a team last year that leaked 36 points a game for the last 10 games have conceded 6 a game. That's why they're winning. And still the first game, they lost 6-4. So they conceded a try and lost. So realistically, the Cowboys should be 3-3.
Yeah.
3-0.
Yeah.
Like
I guess I'm
6-4 could go either way. They kick a goal, it goes to golden point. They kick a field goal, and they're 3-0.
Yeah, I guess as well, I'm just trying to think, and it's not just the Cowboys, but holistically about this comp and try and not jump the gun too much, because as rugby league fans, we obviously, you can only really go off current form, but it is sort of round 3. So I'm sort of being mindful at the moment as well, because there would have been stuff that we were saying in round 3 last year that 2 weeks later got flipped on its head. The one I can think of is Manly, right?
Yeah.
It's just, I'm sort of, I'd still need to see that bit more from the Cowboys. After bagging them so much in the off season, I guess I might be a bit bullish.
But look at some of the options that the Cowboys provided, like the Griffin Neem try with the short ball off Tomalolo, the one where Holmes cuts back inside and comes back through the middle, the kicks that are landing on top of people's heads. And the Broncos didn't have any of that. Like, you look at some of the teams, all they can do is score a try in a corner. Like,
but then again, Brisbane,
how are you going to win games by Brisbane unless you do it 6 or 7 times?
And again, it's like, but Brisbane did look good in the first 2 rounds as well. This is their bad game. Again, we've got to see
in 12-point games, not in. Whereas Titans always had.
They can't score points.
Yeah.
Brisbane, that they've scored 11, 16, and 12.
Yes.
Like they
Yeah.
And you know what? You're probably right with the Cowboys. They won't beat any good team that's going to be in the 8. They won't.
But you know what? When there's only 4 good teams, they don't have to beat much else.
Well, that's right.
That's true. I'm starting to come along too. That might be a bit of a big mush of teams.
They will beat. And they're hard to beat at home. Like so, so when they're playing teams that are of equal ability to them, and they're playing at home, you're probably going to tip them.
If they play the Dragons at Townsville next week, who are you going with?
Well, I'll probably go with the Cowboys.
Maybe.
Ben,
still don't want to.
I'd go with Ben Hunt. I'd go with Ben Hunt. That's what I'd say.
Ben Hunt's got our friends as well, and this Cowboys pack. And
then I with 3 points, Dearden with 2, and then I had either
Gilbert or Lukey.
I had Holmes or
I'd go Holmes for a point.
Holmes or
he was good.
Herbie.
The center's on 200 meters. It's pretty good.